Hey guys, it's Brent, and this is Stoopid. It's time for another civics lesson, so let's talk about government. Let's start with this. When I was younger, I identified as a Democrat. Then, in my older years, I learned what exactly it meant to be a Democrat or Republican, and I switched over to Republican. Republicans are more for smaller federal government. Let the states govern themselves. Whereas Democrats, the Democratic Party is more for bigger federal government, more control, more power for the federal government. So, upon learning how government actually works, I kind of became a Republican. Then, seeing how the political parties actually work in real life, I became neither. I don't identify as a Republican, I don't identify as a Democrat, but I tend to lean more right. But I hate both political parties. That being said, there's a big debate right now about minimum wage. And a lot of people are saying that the federal government needs to increase the minimum wage and that it's the Republicans' fault for that not happening. Well, how do I say this? First of all, save your wrath for the Republican Party, because it's not that they don't want the minimum wage to be higher. They just don't think the federal government should mandate that. If you're upset that the minimum wage has not been raised, don't scream at Congress. Scream at your state government, because you know what? They have always had the right, the ability to raise the mandated minimum wage. So the fact that they have chosen not to doesn't mean it's the federal government's fault. It's still the state's fault. It's the government just hasn't chosen to overrule that. Now, not only that, the company you work for, you can blame them. There are several companies, Amazon included, that have voluntarily raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. So if your company has you working for whatever the minimum wage is in your state, blame them. And then blame your state government. And if you've exhausted all of those possibilities, then you can start to turn your blame toward the federal government. But again, the Republicans feel it's not the federal government's mandate to raise the minimum wage, that should be something that the states decide. That's how it's always been. And in different states today, there are different minimum wages, although there's a federally mandated minimum. But a lot of state governments are greedy cheapskate bastards, and so they don't want to raise that voluntarily. I don't understand why, because let's face it, if you raise the minimum wage in your state, not only does that make more wages for you to tax, but also if I work a minimum wage job and I live in northern Illinois, and just over the Wisconsin border, let's say there's another minimum wage job, but the minimum wage is $4 an hour more. You know what? I'll go to Wisconsin to work. I might even move to Wisconsin because an extra $4 an hour, that's $160 a week, that's over $600 a month extra. That's a house payment. So a state that voluntarily raises their minimum wage will have an influx of people eager to make more money. Influx of population means more services, more funding from the government, and more taxes you can collect. It's just smart. So why aren't the states doing it? I don't know. I'm not in state government. I have no desire to be in state government. But I'm saying that's how the government works. So stop aiming your arrows at the federal government, at Congress, and the GOP specifically for this case, the minimum wage case. They're totally reprehensible and awful and scumbags for a lot of other things. But fairness where fairness is due, the minimum wage debate is not one of those things. So, write a letter to your state congressman. Start getting involved and lobby your state government to raise the minimum wage. Because that's their power to do. It's really not the government's business. Really not the federal government's business. Civics lesson over. Thanks for watching. This wasn't stupid, but I bet this video will not get very many views because y'all hate this stuff. Whatever. Bye.